That's everything. That's why we play. That's why we compete.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Outrageous! Pro does it all!
Ready or not, here I come.
Oh my god! Absolutely precise!
Ready or not, here I come.
It all comes down to this.
To win a major is something added to your legacy.
Winning a major in front of a whole crowd, probably feel like a dream.
That's everything. That's why we play. That's why we compete.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Outrageous! Pro does it all!
Ready or not, here I come.
Oh my god!
That's everything. That's why we play. That's why we compete.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Outrageous! Pro does it all!
Ready or not, here I come.
Oh my god! Absolutely precise!
Ready or not, here I
That's everything. That's why we play. That's why we compete.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Outrageous! Pro does it all!
Ready or not, here I come.
Oh my god! Absolutely precise!
Ready or not, here I come.
It all comes down.
That's everything. That's why we play. That's why we compete.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Outrageous! Pro does it all!
all comes down to this.
To win a major is something added to your legacy.
Winning a major in front of a whole crowd, probably feel like a dream.
Full clip, I'm a little bit sick, I'm equipped. Look at what I did for the grid, got a nip. Truth come quick, all golden break, click, click.
Tail by the spin to the air. Blood's on the ground, opportunity is here. Do you come in peace or should everybody fear?
Guardian's got a line up. Oh my god! Absolutely crushing.
You don't want to be a hero, do not let that thought process. We will put a bullet where your thoughts get processed.
Cloud9 crushing SK.
Ooh, it's the thrill of the kill. Watch the kill on the peel of the grip steering wheel. Cops to the head, the boy jammed out still. The light getting cane, I made it uphill.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. You can't hide.
Are you ready for some Counter-Strike?
That sounds better. Let's go, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Eleague Major Boston. Some of the greatest teams in the world of Counter-Strike took the stage for your entertainment, but now we are down to the final two. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce...
Going to be a lot of noise, he said. But then he does the about turn, the heel turn, and then he says, it's going to be one quiet crowd tomorrow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. First of all, Rain, you're stealing Fallen's material. I don't like plagiarism. But I don't know. I think Cloud9 have grown into this tournament. They got this swagger. They got that arrogance. They got that confidence. They're going to have a big thing to say about this final.
They absolutely have it. They've had a difficult run to come to this point, you know, beating G2 in the quarterfinals. They were the most dominant team throughout the group stages, 6-0. Then in the semifinals, the juggernauts of SK. Don't mind those, you know, stand-in stories and all of that. SK is very hard to put down at the majors.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to realize this crowd is not going to be quiet, and they've already seen G2 go home. They've already seen SK go home. They've seen some massive juggernauts get wiped off this stage by this team. And if Cloud9 gets out to any kind of an early run, it's not going to be quiet. And this is going to be hard to play against. This is a small arena. It gets loud.
Oh, and it's got to be said as well that they're going to need this crowd, Sean, because if you look at meetings this year when they played each other, you can see Cloud9 have certainly not had the best of it. FaZe Clan seem to be their kryptonite.
Yeah, but Cloud9 also had some struggles against G2 and SK in the past. They've overcome that. I think any doubts Cloud9 has is gone, and certainly any doubts this crowd has had are gone now. The crowd is fully into it. They're backing Cloud9 completely, and yeah, they're confident.
I think the problem here is the fact that, you know, FaZe not only won the last 3 encounters in a best of 3 2-0, it's in such a dominant fashion, as you guys could see, only double digits 2 times for Cloud9, so they have no reason to be scared of anything, whether it's Cloud9, whether it's the crowd. Yes, Cloud9 is playing super well, but FaZe is the favorite here, and they're going to play like it.
No doubt, Cloud9 have had that miracle run. They've beaten so many great teams that are above them in the world rankings. This is the final boss. This is the FaZe roster. Just look at this talent. It is so stacked.
Yeah, I mean, these all, we've said it so many times, so many of these players you could talk about as the best player in the world at different points during their career, and together they have formed something truly special that even when they're playing poorly, they are still dangerous. They can win in so many different ways. When you add in the tactics, the structure that Kerrigan is providing, I mean, they can do it that way. If that goes poorly, they can win just by sheer individual skill. Nico, Olaf Meister, these guys are incredible at turning around disadvantaged situations, turning them into their favor. and it's not going to be easy. This is going to be another grind game for Cloud9.
And that's it, Sean. Carrigan is a great in-game leader, but sometimes when he makes those mistakes and gives his opponents the window of opportunity, people can't capitalize because this team's just so good.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen all tournament. FaZe has found themselves in early holes, and they can just dig themselves out. And honestly, the end score doesn't even look like they were ever contested.
Yeah.
But that's due to their skill. They're just overwhelming their opponents.
Just the luxury that FaZe has compared to some of the other teams. They can get away with those mistakes because the skill bails them out so many times in pistol rounds, in force buy rounds and so forth. And even though it hasn't looked great at times, FaZe score-wise has been very dominant. The only map they lost so far in these 3 weeks has been to Vegas Squadron on Inferno.
And look, I'll tell you about FaZe. When they first came into the CS space, obviously known for other games, excellence in Call of Duty, they went out and they spent money. They bought these 3 guys, you know, spent so much to bring the likes of Nico, Guardian, Olofmeister into the FaZe fold. And look at that. That's where your investment goes. The top-rated players out of 4, they've got 3.
No, it's absolutely unreal what they've been able to do, but I think that the point that you have to look is even with these kinds of players, there's still been weakness shown by FaZe, and that's what Cloud9 has to try and capitalize. We've seen some shaky halves. They're bailed out a lot by these 3 guys, obviously, in this tournament, but you know, one slip up in a game, one game where they're playing a little bit less than they have been, and all of a sudden those weaknesses are really, really exposed, and that's where Cloud9 can take advantage.
And Yanko, I'm going to bring you in here because in 2017, it was coldzera that was the #1 team in the player in the world. 2016, #1 player in the world. Nico's always in that conversation, but coldzera's been a little bit of a nemesis. Well, he's starting 2018 the right way if he's going to break the trend. The top-rated player in the tournament.
Absolutely, and the main thing that's holding him back is the fact that SK was the best team in the world alongside coldzera being the best player. FaZe lost to them so many times in grand finals or just in playoffs of big tournaments. So that's not just a turning point for Nico, it's also a turning point for FaZe moving on. If they can finally topple SK from that #1 spot, then that will propel him into the title of the best player in the world.
And Sean, where do you rate him?
Yeah, I think Nico is definitely climbing up there as the best player in the world. Like you said, it's between coldzera and him, and this kind of start to 2018 bodes well for his future this year.
Yeah, it definitely does. Also on that team, Guardian. Somebody who's always in the AWPing equation when it comes to having that conversation about who is the best in the world. Well, Guardian has been the best in the world, but despite that, has struggled to win those majors, been to finals, been to semi-finals. People thought that maybe his time had gone, and now he's got this resurgence, this new opportunity in FaZe.
It did seem like that. He had that section of his career where it seemed like he was a little bit less motivated to kind of, you know, stay and remain at the top. But I think if you look back, the incredible thing about what he's doing in FaZe right now is that the Na'Vi lineups that he was in were incredible. At times, they looked like one of the best teams in the world. He's got a better cast around him now than he ever did in Na'Vi. Yeah, like you had some great players on those teams, but when you get Olofmeister, Nico, when you get Carrigan as an in-game leader, like you get Rain, who's super underrated on this squad. He's not up there in the stats, but he's an incredible player. Everyone around Guardian now is going to make his job so much easier.
Yeah, and it's got to be said as well, Olofmeister, a decorated veteran with Fnatic, one of the best players ever to touch the game. He's chasing down, you know, that record that the other guys in Fnatic have. Flusher, JW Pronax, all won 3 majors. Olofmeister, only 2. He can join his old colleagues, his old teammates, if he wins today. And I'll tell you what, I love the evolution of Olofmeister, a very different beast to what he was in 2015 when he was the best player in the world. He's adapted his game, he's evolved.
Yeah, I mean, he was a player that you could see just basically win everything. But the cool thing about FaZe is that he's almost like a targeted assassin on this team where if they're ever in a rut, if they ever need someone to open something up, he just needs to get that one kill to really free up the other side of the map.
He's obviously still a great player, but you need to remember in 2015, Olofmeister had multiple spots on maps named after him because he had these signature moves, you know, on B platform on Cobblestone, all of just pushing straight through the smoke, trying to find the fight. Out of team mid on train, jumping to the left. Olofmeister as well, searching for kills. So he's not that player in FaZe. It doesn't have to do as much, but it just speaks of the luxury they have as a team to have a guy like that and just like activate him whenever it needs to come to be.
It's shocking how much you're reminding me. Olaf used to be aggressive and entry frag a lot, and he's completely changed up his game style. He's very passive now and allows his teammates to shine, and he makes a lot of cerebral plays, often is lurking for FaZe now on this team and playing spots where he's often like second or third contact. So I really like how Olaf shaped up his game, and he's a massive player for FaZe in getting information.
Yeah, so look, We can wax lyrical about Olofmeister, or we can hear from the man himself. Earlier today, Smix talked to him in the Cheese It locker room.
Hey Olaf, congratulations again on the 2-0 yesterday over Navi. You guys are now in the grand finals, and I know for 3 of the players on FaZe, it's for the first time ever. So after you guys won yesterday, what was the mood like in the team?
Of course, we were all very happy. It's been a long time for me as well, so as you pointed out yesterday, so it's just a lot of fun. We're happy to be here.
And personally speaking for yourself, you're the only player on the team that's been a former major champion. You have 2 titles under the belt, and now 3 are at stake here. So is the significance of that on your mind at all?
Of course, but I mean, the most important thing is to win. Then I consider that I won 3. But of course, it will be very fun to win 3 and to join the likes of Pronax, JW, and Flusha.
Well, yesterday when I spoke with you, you said that I asked you to predict, and you said you thought SK would make it, but you hoped C9 would make it, and they did. So now that you're facing them, what are your thoughts on Skadaddy and his squad?
Skadaddy, he's been playing really good, and I mean, I know that he's a really good player, but he hasn't really shown it before at the majors. But now he's been stepping it up a lot, so it's a lot of fun to see. And yeah, I mean, I'll see him out on the battlefield.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Olaf, and good luck in your match today.
And there's a sinister smile on Olofmeister's face when he says that. I will see you out on the battleground. As I said, he is supremely confident. He's right to be confident. This is a guy who knows what it takes to win.
Yeah, he definitely is. The cool thing about this, he's just such a good, you can see how calm he is. He's just had so much experience in this, which is one of the great things we haven't even touched on with FaZe, the amount of experience these guys have in big tournament environments on these stages. And Olofmeister in the majors has always been incredible. So he's got something in store, and I think if you hear that interview and you're a Cloud9 player, you got to be a little bit worried because he didn't look like he cared whatsoever to be in this kind of an arena.
And I agree, FaZe is a star-studded lineup, great players on that team, but 3 of them are in a major final for the first time. And as a favorite, you do have some amount of pressure on you. So having a guy like Olofmeister, 2-time major champion, just, you know, champion in general, to have the experience to tell you through the game, guys, this is normal. Like, we are going to lose some silly rounds that we perhaps don't even lose in practice. You know, it gets to you. Just keep playing your own game, keep doing your job, and we're going to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think FaZe definitely benefits from having someone like Olofmeister on the team to calm everyone down. He pretty much has ice in his veins. The guy never shows pressure, a lot like Cold Zero actually in that aspect. So I think FaZe can benefit a lot from having someone like that.
Well, we're going to find out what happens when the old guard runs up against a new school. They've got to take on Cloud9. Me and Sean have talked about him. We think this is the best iteration of Cloud9 we've ever seen. Tell us about him, Jason.
Yeah, these guys are incredible. And I mean, the great thing about them, you have Tarek and Rush coming over from that old Optic lineup that showed promise. They're kind of continuing that style of play, just relentless aggression and very, very quick takes of bomb sites and making sure they trade their way in. The nice thing is they have such an aggressive front line and guys like Tarek and Sui who are willing to take risks, willing to just take battles, that Skadoodle gets to be much more passive, and so does Automatic, so does Rush. That's their normal habit. And this team has come together so nicely. They've got great change of pace. They're much better on, they have a much deeper map pool than you would have expected from this squad, and they've got a lot of dangerous elements to them.
Yeah, and Sean, people have laughed about this idea of Skadoodle as being this support AWP, doing all the support work, but they've got a team that's just full of firepower. It's probably the only conceivable way it could work, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the only conceivable way a team like that could function, and Scott actually does a fantastic job of it. He's so good with utility, and what makes him even better at this is his late round play. He's constantly making good decisions in clutch situations, and he's lethal in those late rounds.
And he is one of the players who's been struggling the most when it comes to playing versus FaZe. To be fair, a lot of players and teams struggle playing against him, but you can see in the results that Cloud9 has had so far, a reverse sweep, right? Like we talked about it, same as in Cologne, and they make the grand finals yet again. Last time versus SK, they lose. Will they be able to change the outcome?
But look who they have beaten. They've beaten those top 4 teams. You know, you've gone through Astralis, you've gone through G2, you've gone through SK. This is a hard route to the final.
And you've beaten Vegas Squadron, who FaZe couldn't beat, so might as well pack it in right now. The tournament's already over.
If only it was resolved that way. And look, the players they've got here, sure, they haven't been as spectacular in terms of statistics as FaZe has, but they have got 2 in the top 10. And I think what we've seen from Cloud9 is this kind of team effort, you know?
They've been really even across the board when they play, and it's just so nice. I want to touch on Skadoodle specifically because earlier in his career we saw him. I mean, Sean, you know this, definitely playing with him. He loved being in the thick of the fights inside bomb sites. He was so good and so creative at jumping around and his mobility around smokes and everything. Now he gets to just sit back and he makes it so easy because you have guys like Tarek, Rush at times, and Stewie flushing people out of these positions when they're so aggressively attacking a bomb site. The defense is scattering and they're trying to fill the gaps, and that's where Skadoodle has really found a niche for this team, is just picking off that one or two guys who are trying to come through a choke point. Yeah, and the man at the top of that list, Rush Yanko, I think he's had an amazing major. Finally starting to bed in, starting to look like he belongs in Cloud9. It was a little bit shaky when they got him from Optics. They couldn't really find a position for him, see what he was best at, but they finally found that role.
Definitely, and you can see, I think it's the best example, his performance of how much this lineup of Cloud9, how much confidence they have in what they're capable of, because even a guy like Rush, who's usually very reserved with his play, mostly supports his teammates, doesn't take huge risks. Even he is going for some plays now, you know, he's feeling it. He knows that even if he messes up, it's not the end of the world. He's got great guys behind them that can easily make it up.
Yeah, Rush, it feels so good that Rush is finally getting the credit he deserves as such a smart player in the game. He's, like Yanko said, he's very reserved, both in-game and out-of-game. He's not a streamer like Tarek or Stewie is. So oftentimes he gets overlooked, and he does get criticism for his play when he plays bad because of that. But this tournament, he's stepped up in massive ways, and he's looking to take that here to the finals.
Yeah, and of course Cloud9 do have an ace up their sleeve. It's that man there on the camera, Tarek. People have joked about him. There was a meme online saying that this guy didn't have the intellectual capacity to be an in-game leader. He has proven everybody wrong and then some, and he's fragging all the while doing it. Look at that. He leads his team on ADR.
Listen, I was one of his doubters early on as well. This has been a 3-year journey for Tarek to get to this level. So much skill was shown at the early stages when he joined CLG initially. He never really couldn't really put it together in terms of a team framework, and now coming over here, again, criticized him for coming in as the in-game leader, didn't think he'd be able to do it, and much like Stewie, he's stepped up to pretty much every challenge that's been placed in front of him since he got to Cloud9. Now you're seeing him take the initiative, the fights, he's changing the pace, he's solo taking map control for his team, he's doing so much, and he's becoming the star that everyone in North America crowned him to be way too early, but he's become it now.
Yeah, and Sean, you know, you're an in-game leader, and you know how hard it is to be able to put the numbers up while you've got to watch all the moving parts of the team.
Yeah, it is beyond impressive what Tarek has done in this event and leading up to this event, actually. His numbers have been fantastic. Not only that, Cloud9's setups on CT side, they're running a lot of bait setups. They're switching up setups. They're adjusting to what they're seeing from other teams. T side, they're very aggressive, and I think that stems from Tarek's individual play. So I do think they're going to show that aggression in the finals today, and I don't know if FaZe is going to be ready for it.
Well, we'll find out, but before we do that, obviously we've talked a lot about the talent, the firepower that's on this roster. I think it's going to be a tactical game too, and with that said, that means it's time for Map Tactics presented by the US Air Force. What have you got for us, Yanko?
So talking about Tarek and how much he's evolved as an in-game leader and as a player, here's an example from the semi-final last night that we saw versus SK Gaming, and Cloud9 is on match point, and you're thinking, yeah, it's a done deal, but never against SK. You know, you can never really count them out. 15-9, they've made this comeback before, and they have a double up setup, a lot of utility. You can see Fallen gets a kill through the wall, gets a tag as well. So Cloud9 still has the confidence. They don't care. We have a call, we want to go B, we're gonna set up. They have all the players there. As you can see, 2 defenders, Fallen with the AWP, Fur with the M4. This is something they've been doing a lot, playing towards CT, towards Ruins, not too close in the bomb site so that they can potentially get a kill through the smoke and wait for the retake. You can see what Cloud9 actually does is they push through their own smoke in CT. This is something that's very uncharacteristic. I don't think I've seen it done this tournament, and it catches Fallen completely off guard. He dies, automatic picks up his WP and closes out the round from there. Fur as well, he was being pinched from 2 sides, couldn't even get a single kill, and the round completely falls apart for SK Gaming. And you know, I think that's the biggest problem for teams who have allowed comebacks versus SK. They just get scared a little bit. They start playing not to lose. Cloud9 was definitely playing to win throughout that game, and this particular execute shows it.
And it's like I said, they're going to need to do that here. I want Stewie pushing through those smokes. That's how he made a name for himself. That's how he infuriated most of the NA scene when he came through. People didn't believe this player was legit. If he does that in a major final, it's going to be a sight to behold. But there's one other factor in all of this. We've talked about it. I don't know if you've ever played in a crowd this big.
Just
Jason,
now, it was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, you did actually. Earlier today. I know you did it a bunch of times, Sean. And I will tell you, crowd does make a difference. When you've got a crowd behind you, they're cheering you on. They're letting you know that the mistakes don't matter. It's going to be all right. And they're intimidating the opposition. Sean, as a seasoned pro, tell me about it.
Yeah, it gives you a certain electricity to your team that fuels you. It ignites fires within you. It makes you more comfortable to make those aggressive plays. And when the crowd is behind you cheering, you want to keep doing it. And Cloud9 loves rolling with that confidence like that. So I think it will play a part today.
There's a couple cool tricks as well you can play in terms of when the crowd is getting so loud and you can't really hear the in-game noise, like you can let go of the shift key. Like you don't have to walk everywhere like we see players do online when it's quiet in their bedroom. We're going to see a lot of aggressive plays in every situation just because footsteps are just automatically masked by crowd noise.
So something I did once before actually at a previous IM event where we had the American crowd behind us is you get up as an in-game leader, you get everyone to